Look at Shanghai today. One bank, the Bund and 1930s finance. Across the Huangpu, Lujiazui glass towers, a future skyline. By 2024, Shanghai had 24.8026 million residents, RMB 5.392671 trillion in GDP, and over 51.5 million port TEUs. How did a county town become a world city? To understand Shanghai, do not tell every dynasty year by year. Ask one simpler question: why did it rise so fast? The answer is a chain reaction. Geography gave Shanghai a doorway. Trade forced it open. Then people, capital, industry, and policy poured through. Pudong later turned old commercial energy into a new global stage. Remember three dates: 1292, when Shanghai became a county; 1843, when treaty port trade changed its path; and 1990, when Pudong became the second engine. Shanghai was not born powerful. It learned to multiply advantage. Its rise was not a miracle of size, but of position. Shanghai's first advantage is location. It sits near the mouth of the Yangtze River, facing the East China Sea, with Jiangsu and Zhejiang behind it, and the wider Yangtze River delta around it. The city covers about 6,340.5 square kilometers, but its real power has never been just land area. Its power comes from what that land connects. The Yangtze River is one of China's great economic corridors. Goods, people, grain, cotton, capital, and later industrial products could move through this river system toward the coast. Shanghai was not deep inland. It was not isolated in the mountains. It was where an enormous inland economy could meet the sea. Shanghai was a gateway. Gateways do not need to be ancient to become powerful. They need traffic, timing, and a hinterland rich enough to feed them with goods and people. That is why scale alone is misleading. Shanghai's real territory was the network behind it: river towns, workshops, farms, ports, and merchants moving through the delta. Shanghai became a county in 1292. At that time, it was not yet the global city we imagine today. It was a local administrative and commercial town in a region shaped by waterways, farmland, cotton, salt, and river transport. For centuries, Shanghai's growth was real, but not explosive. Then came the 19th century. In 1843, Shanghai was opened as a treaty port. This was a painful and unequal historical turning point, but it changed the city's trajectory completely. Suddenly, Shanghai was no longer just a local node in the lower Yangtze region. It became a point of contact between China and the global trading system. Ships arrived, foreign firms arrived, banks arrived, warehouses, docks, insurance offices, newspapers, hotels, and trading houses followed. Shanghai began to develop two identities at once: Chinese Shanghai, built by merchants, workers, migrants, families, markets, temples, lanes, and local businesses, and Treaty Port Shanghai, shaped by foreign concessions, international banks, customs houses, modern infrastructure, and unusual legal systems. That overlap was the beginning of its modern rise. Local networks and international systems did not simply sit side by side. They interacted every day, often productively. Trade was only the first layer. Once trade concentrated in Shanghai, finance followed. Once finance arrived, factories followed. Once factories grew, workers came. Once workers came, housing, transport, entertainment, publishing, education, and politics all became more intense. This is how Shanghai turned from a port into a metropolis. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it had become one of the most dynamic cities in Asia. It was not only moving goods, it was processing them, financing them, insuring them, advertising them, and turning them into a modern urban culture. Cotton textiles, shipping, banking, printing, light industry, and later heavier industrial activity all expanded in and around the city. The Bund became a visual symbol of capital. The docks became a symbol of movement. The factories became a symbol of industrial labor. the Lilong neighborhoods became a symbol of dense urban life. Shanghai's rise was not clean or romantic. It came with inequality, foreign privilege, labor conflict, overcrowding, and political pressure. But as a city system, it became incredibly powerful. That intensity changed the rhythm of everyday life. People encountered wages, rent, newspapers, advertisements, department stores, strikes, cinemas, schools, and modern professions at a scale rare in China then. Shanghai became not only a place of exchange, but a place where new urban habits were rehearsed. After 1949, Shanghai's role changed again. The city was no longer mainly a treaty port commercial world. It became one of China's most important industrial bases. This part of Shanghai's story is sometimes less visually glamorous than the Bund or Lujiazui, but it is essential. Modern Shanghai was not built only by bankers and traders. It was also built by workers, engineers, shipyards, machine plants, chemical factories, textile mills, power systems, and logistics networks. Shanghai had accumulated industrial skills, technical workers, urban infrastructure, and manufacturing capacity. Those became national assets. For decades, the city contributed heavily to China's industrial production, fiscal revenue, technology, and urban management experience. It also carried the pressure of an old industrial city, dense population, aging housing, environmental burdens, and limited room for expansion. This created a paradox. Shanghai was powerful but constrained. It had talent, factories, banks, ports, and history, but by the late 20th century, it needed a new space, a new model, and a new way to reconnect with the world economy. That space was across the river. It was Pudong. In other words, the socialist industrial period did not erase the earlier city. It converted Shanghai's accumulated capabilities into production capacity, technical discipline, and state-planned urban management. Before Pudong became a skyline, it was a question. Could Shanghai expand eastward across the Huangpu River and create a new center for finance, trade, technology, and global business? In 1990, the development and opening of Pudong was announced. That decision changed Shanghai's modern image more than any other event in the reform era. Lujiazui became a financial district. Weijiaqiao became linked to free trade and logistics. Jingqiao became connected to export processing and industry. Later, Zhangjiang would become associated with technology and innovation. Fields, warehouses, and low-rise areas gave way to bridges, tunnels, towers, expressways, metro lines, industrial parks, and financial institutions. Pudong did not replace old Shanghai. It gave old Shanghai a second engine. The Bund remembered the city's first globalization. Lujiazui announced the second. This was not just real estate development. It was a reorganization of Shanghai's functions. Finance, logistics, manufacturing, and technology were given room to separate, specialize, and connect. Today's Shanghai is powerful because it controls flows. Goods, Shanghai Port handled 51.5063 million TEUs in 2024. People, Pudong and Hengqiao airports handled about 124.7311 million passenger trips. Money, financial market transactions reached RMB 3,650.3 trillion. Trade, imports and exports reached RMB 4.268087 trillion, while services made up 78.2% of GDP. Together, these flows make Shanghai a control point. Factories to ports, ports to markets, markets to finance, finance to technology, and technology back to urban life. It is a connector, not just a skyline. So how did Shanghai become a world city? 4 words: location, trade, people, timing. It was not an imperial capital. It became a gateway, a commercial city, an industrial city, and finally, a global connector.